This is another shot of the flag. It's taken from another vantage point. This is the flag that Georgia's governor at that time in 1996, Roy Barnes, he elected to put this flag up in place of the Confederate battle flag, which is what was on the flag pole of Georgia for 1956 to 1996. Now it is this pathetic flag, which really has no character at all. It has nothing. But Van Epps, who was who probably still is one of the representatives of Georgia, said that is the only flag that we're going to permit them to put on the ballot. We're not going to allow them to put the Confederate battle flag. So in other words, even in the 90s, the government of Georgia was saying, we're going to allow you only to vote for those flags that the blacks agree with, and it isn't going to be anything else. Nobody is going to be permitted to choose any other flag except what the black community says that it should be, and that's it. And this is the one that Roy Barnes actually put on the state flag. This is the flag he chose after he took this one off in 1996. He did not ask the Georgia public or the residents of this state whether he wanted to. He just did it. He took it off. Now, this flag is the American flag, and it should be abolished as our flag as a nation, because it does not represent freedom anymore. Now they're telling people what you can say, what you can put on your car, what you can actually post. Even on Facebook, they're arresting people because of the simple reality that somebody says something about Obama that Obama don't like. It's not threatening him. They're not saying, I'm going to blow your head off or anything else. They're just simply saying, we have a difference of opinion about what Obama is doing. And now they've arrested this guy only because of what he said on Facebook. They're saying this guy was arrested because he had made comments that Obama didn't like, and so they took his webpage down. They arrested him, and they had him put in jail only because of his viewpoint didn't match with what Obama didn't like. He didn't like what he was saying, so he got rid of it. He got rid of that guy anyway. Now today, as you've already seen on the news, this is the flag Georgia has, and even this to the black community is saying it's a hateful representation of Georgia because it shows some reference to the Confederate battle flag. This is the one they are now banning in Georgia. They don't allow you to have this flag anymore on at least your car. It hasn't gotten to the point they're saying you cannot have it on your own personal car, on the front of your car. But that's coming, because now they've already eradicated it from South Carolina's flag as far as being shown on a flagpole of any kind in South Carolina. And the next stage of this whole thing is going to be them saying that we cannot have it anywhere on our person or on our personal or private property. We can't have it probably even flying on our flagpole in our front yard. They're going to say that. During the debate that was happening in South Carolina, I remember hearing one of the actual family members say this to the court or to the legislature. If y'all think it's heritage and not hate, then y'all should put it on the backyard of your house. In other words, that nobody has to see it. Now, that doesn't mean eventually they cannot tell you that you cannot even have one in your home. That's like saying already they're telling people right now in America, you cannot even have a gun to protect yourself, because we're trying to maintain peace and to maintain a sense of security within the United States. And once people start shooting each other over this issue of the Confederate battle flag and about our rights to express our opinions, it's going to happen next. And that's what they're going to say. Y'all just don't have any rights to have guns because it's endangering everybody else around you. That's their philosophy. That's what they're going to tell you. And then after the flag goes down, I don't think probably they're going to do anything about putting or taking this flag down, because this does not represent freedom in America. It doesn't really represent anything. All it is just an iconic symbol of some time in history when America still was a free nation, when people still had tolerance about things that were happening in our country. And now they don't have any freedom, or we don't have any rights to say anything anymore. And I don't know. I mean, this doesn't, I mean, you don't even feel like that the nation you're living in today is the same one you were born in, because I don't feel that way. I don't think that we have any rights anymore to say or to do anything that we want to say because the government tells you that you're a terrorist, or your opinions and your viewpoints are now wrong for you to have, and that freedom of expression, freedom of speech in this country no longer exists, and therefore your freedom, your rights, do not have any bearing or value unless the government tells you that you have it. And that's against the United States Constitution. Simple point. The freedom of the United States is guaranteed to every American. And if you're an illegal alien, folks, you're not entitled to anything because you are not an American citizen. And that's why you're called an illegal alien. If you come here to this country, the first thing you ought to do is to try and do what's right, and that is to become an American. But freedom in this country is basically given to those who are illegal aliens. Citizens who pay taxes, who have lived here since they were born, are just considered now secondary citizens, because we don't have value or rights if the government isn't going to value your rights, and they're not going to value your freedom of choice or your freedom of expression or your freedom of religion, because they're saying, well, you don't deserve that because you've had it for so long that somebody else now deserves it instead of you. That your freedom can only be valued if somebody else who comes here illegally is given that right instead of you. And that's stupid. That has nothing to do with what America was founded on, and that is that all of us should be free if we come here legally. If you're not here illegally, you should not be given nothing. They ought to just put you back on a bus and send you right back or to deport you back to Mexico, with the stipulation that if this person is found in this country again, they'll be executed. That's called deterrent. That's why those that come here and they've murdered people, raped people, and then the Mexicans allow them to go right across the border without even prosecuting them when they're deported. We ought to just tell them flat out, if they come back and we know that they've done crimes, they're going to be shot, and that's it. Then they'll probably not be brought back here again, or they won't be allowed to come back into this country. Or the Mexican themselves will say, well, I'm not coming back if I know they're going to shoot me right on sight. So those are the things that should happen in this country that should be changed as far as policy. These people that want to do harm to the United States should not be allowed to come back here, and if they do, then they should just be eliminated. Because you know what? That's what they're trying to do, and they're going to do to us as American citizens now. You don't like what's happening, you don't like what the government's doing to this country and to the people who lived here for all their lives. They're saying, you know, too bad, you know, this is the way it's going to be, and it's like it shouldn't be this way, because that's what the Constitution was designed to do, to protect the rights of those who are citizens of this country, not those who come here illegally and think that they can just do whatever they want to. So freedom in America is a dead breed. It does not exist. And what's happening to our country should be a wake-up call to people, because if they don't care, and if they don't want to wake up, and if they don't want to expect to have a better life, then, you know, everybody suffers for that stupidity. And that's what it is in America. It's stupidity. People don't care anymore. People don't want to take the responsibility to stand up for their rights and say, if you don't like this flag, too bad. It was there a longer time than you, and we should at least preserve and at least respect what they represent, because this is history. If you want to obliterate history, it's going to just start all over again. And that's why people's attitudes about these things being hate and wrong and all the rest of it, it shouldn't hold water, because you have to learn, or you're not going to learn nothing, and therefore everything's just going to keep repeating over and over again the same thing. And that's why stupidity is something in America we should never tolerate. Stupidity. People died fighting for this flag, when it meant something. And now today, people only want to see what they want to see, hatred. And that's not what America was founded on. America is founded on freedom. It's founded on liberty. It's founded on our rights as citizens of this country to protect what we have and to fight for it if necessary, because that's how we won our freedom, by fighting. You didn't have John Adams and George Washington becoming who they were because they sat by and said, well, it's going to make somebody upset, we're not going to do that. That's not what freedom's based on. Freedom is based on fighting for what's right, fighting for what we believe in, but not hatred. Not because something like this represents someone else's hate. You know what I'm saying? Who are the real bigots? Who are the racists? If they can look at that and automatically say that represents slavery, that's your perception of what that is. But people who know history have said, this never represented slavery. This is something the Confederates stood by because in their minds they were doing what they thought was right. It had nothing to do with slavery. And it never does have anything to do with slavery. It never will. It is only what one culture, one race looks at and says, well, that's whatever they see. And they think, well, this should justify us saying nobody should have the right to have this flag or to see this flag or to even hear about this flag, because for them, they can see only one thing instead of looking beyond that hatred, looking beyond what it is and what it represents to them. Because slavery will only exist in the minds of people if they continue to believe it and remember it. If you're going to look beyond something, you cannot look at something like this and say, that represents this or it represents that. You must just forget about it, not eradicate it, because it's a part of history. It happened. You can't eradicate history. Nothing will ever change as far as what's happened. You can only change how you look at things now. And if you want to use bigotry or racism and say that's the reason why we don't want this flag to be even existing anymore, then you're blinding your own mind. You're blinding your own perceptions of what's reality. And that's not going to change anything, because life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness means we must hold on to what is history. Otherwise, you don't learn nothing. And that's what this video is supposed to, this is why I made the video, to say to people, if you don't remember the past, you're going to repeat it forever and ever. Thank you.